They said she wasn't his type, but Noah Hale was about to prove the whole world wrong. Noah Hale stood in his penthouse kitchen at 2 a.m., staring at the sub-zero refrigerator stocked by his meal prep service, and realized he couldn't remember the last time food had tasted like anything at all. At 34, he had everything. His AI security software company had just been valued at $3 billion. His face was on the cover of Fortune magazine, and he owned properties in 5 states. But 3 months ago, his mother had died suddenly from a stroke, and since then every meal tasted like ash. The grief counselor he'd hired, because that's what he did, he hired people to solve problems, had suggested he find ways to connect with his mother's memory. But how? She'd been a brilliant cook, the kind of woman who could transform cheap ingredients into magic. Growing up poor in Brooklyn, she'd stretched every dollar, making their tiny apartment feel like a palace through the power of her cooking alone. Even after Noah made his fortune and moved her to a beautiful house in Connecticut, she'd insisted on cooking for him every Sunday, refusing the private chefs he'd tried to hire. Those Sunday dinners had been his anchor. Now they were gone. His business partner, James, had cornered him after a board meeting that morning. "You've lost 15 pounds, Noah. You look like hell. This can't continue." Noah had brushed him off, but James was right. He was running on empty, going through the motions of his successful life while feeling increasingly hollow. That afternoon, restless and unable to focus, Noah left the office early, something he never did. He wandered through Manhattan with no destination, just needing to move. Eventually, he found himself in Chelsea, standing in front of a small storefront with a hand-painted sign, "Olivia's Kitchen, Cooking Classes and Catering." The window displayed photos of comfort food, lasagna with cheese bubbling over the sides, golden fried chicken, apple pie with an imperfect lattice crust. But it was the smaller sign that stopped him cold. Grief Cooking, a 6-week class for those who have lost someone. Learn to cook the meals that remind you of home. Noah had never cooked anything in his life. He had people for that. But something about those words, the acknowledgement that food and grief and love were tangled together, made him reach for the door before he could talk himself out of it. The bell chimed as he entered a cozy space that felt more like a home kitchen than a business. Mismatched chairs surrounded a large wooden table, shelves lined with cookbooks and spice jars, and the warm smell of baking bread filled the air. And there, standing at the counter with flour dusting her brown forearms and a smudge on her cheek, was a woman who made him stop in his tracks. She was plus size, her curves evident under an oversized apron, with dark curly hair in a messy bun and warm brown eyes that looked up in surprise. Her face was makeup-free, her cheeks flushed from the kitchen heat. She wasn't his usual type, not even close. He typically dated tall, thin women from his social circle who looked good on his arm at galas. But there was something about the way she moved, confident and comfortable in her space, that caught his attention. "Hi there," she said, wiping her hands on her apron. Her voice was warm, professional. "I'm Olivia. Can I help you?" Noah realized he'd been staring. "I saw the sign." About the grief cooking class. Her expression shifted immediately, not to pity, but to understanding. She came around the counter and he noticed she moved with natural confidence. Up close, he could see the intelligence in her eyes, the laugh lines around her mouth that suggested she smiled often. "The next session starts Monday evening. Small group, just 7 people including you if you sign up. We meet once a week for 6 weeks. Each week we focus on different comfort foods and the memories attached to them." She handed him a flyer, and he noticed her hands, strong, capable, with short, practical nails. Working hands. Noah nodded, feeling suddenly vulnerable. "My mother died 3 months ago. She was an incredible cook, and I can't seem to taste anything anymore." "That's more common than you think," Olivia said. her tone matter-of-fact rather than overly sympathetic, which he appreciated. Food is about memory and connection. When we lose someone who cooked for us, we lose all of those things wrapped together. This class is about learning to cook not just the food, but reclaiming those feelings. Noah found himself nodding. There was something grounding about her presence, something real. I'd like to sign up. Great. Fair warning, though. I require all my students to actually cook. No standing back and watching. You'll be chopping, stirring, kneading, and yes, making a mess. Can you handle that? Noah looked down at his custom Tom Ford suit and Italian leather shoes, then back at her slightly challenging expression. Was she testing him? I can handle it. Good. She smiled then, and it transformed her face. See you Monday at 7, and Mr. Hale, Noah Hale. If she recognized the name, she didn't show it. See you Monday, Noah. As he left, Noah found himself thinking about her hands, her voice, the way she'd looked at him like he was just another person, not a billionaire or a CEO. It was refreshing. He didn't think about her again until Monday, or so he told himself. That Monday evening, Noah stood outside Olivia's kitchen feeling oddly nervous. He'd changed into dark jeans and a simple button-down, the most casual he'd dressed in years outside of his penthouse. Inside, other students were gathering, an older woman with silver hair named Margaret, a young man in his 20s named Derek who looked lost, a middle-aged couple named Tom and Lisa holding hands, and two women named Sarah and Jennifer, who appeared to be friends. They all had the same look, the hollow ache of loss mixed with desperate hope. Olivia greeted each person warmly, and Noah found himself watching the way she moved through the space, completely in her element, confident, capable. She wore jeans and a fitted t-shirt under her apron today, and he noticed the way the fabric followed her curves. He looked away quickly. What was he doing? When she reached him, she smiled. Noah, glad you came. Everyone, this is Noah. His mother passed away 3 months ago. The simple acknowledgement, without drama or excessive sympathy, made his throat tighten. He nodded at the group. Welcome to Grief Cooking, Olivia began. I created this class 3 years ago after I lost my grandmother, who raised me. My parents died in a car accident when I was 8, and my grandmother became everything to me. She taught me everything I know about cooking, and after she died, I couldn't enter a kitchen for almost a year. When I finally did, I realized that cooking her recipes was a way of keeping her with me. That's what we're going to do together. Cook the foods that remind us of the people we've lost, share their stories, and hopefully find healing in the process. She led them to the large wooden table where ingredients waited: flour, butter, sugar, apples, cinnamon. Tonight we're making apple pie. As we work, I want you to think about your person. Tell us about them. And put that love into what you're creating. Noah was paired with Margaret, whose husband of 45 years had died 8 months ago. As they peeled apples, she told him about her husband's proposal over apple pie. Her voice cracked, but her hands stayed steady. Noah found himself sharing too. My mom grew up genuinely poor, choosing between rent and food poor. But she never let me feel that. She'd make these elaborate meals out of whatever she could afford and present them like we were dining in a 5-star restaurant. What was her specialty? Olivia asked, appearing beside them. This close he caught her scent, cinnamon and vanilla, and something warm he couldn't name. Chicken and dumplings. I've tried to recreate it since she died. Hired chefs, went to restaurants. Nothing tastes like hers. Next week we're making chicken and dumplings, Olivia said, and her hand briefly touched his shoulder, a gesture of comfort that sent unexpected warmth through him. You'll learn her secret. As the evening progressed, Noah found himself watching Olivia more than he should, the way she demonstrated techniques with patient precision, the way she laughed, full and unself-conscious, when someone's pie crust fell apart. The way she tasted a filling and closed her eyes, completely present in that moment of flavor. When had he last been that present in anything? When his pie came out of the oven, lopsided but golden, and he took his first bite, something shifted. It wasn't just the taste, though it was good. It was the knowledge that he'd created this with his own hands. "How do you feel?" Olivia asked, sitting beside him as the class wound down. "Like I can breathe again," he admitted. Then, surprising himself, he added, "When's the next class?" She smiled, and he noticed the way her eyes crinkled at the corners. "Eager student. I like that. Next Monday, same time." As Noah left that evening, he realized he was already counting down the days. But it was just about the cooking, he told himself, just about healing from his mother's death. He was a terrible liar, even to himself. The second class, Noah arrived 20 minutes early. Olivia was prepping ingredients, her hair in a high ponytail, a light sheen of sweat on her forehead from the kitchen heat. "You're early," she said, looking up with surprise. "Thought I'd see if you needed help." The words came out before he'd planned them. She studied him for a moment, then smiled. "Sure, you can chop onions." They worked in comfortable silence for a few minutes before Olivia spoke. "So, Noah Hale, I looked you up after last week." His hands stilled on the knife. Here it comes, the change in how she'd treat him. AI security software, $3 billion valuation, Forbes 30 under 30 a few years back, Fortune magazine cover. She glanced at him. "Impressive, but I'm curious why a billionaire CEO is taking a cooking class in Chelsea instead of hiring a private chef to teach him at home." Noah appreciated the directness. "I tried that. 5 different chefs in 3 months. Every meal they made was technically perfect and tasted like nothing. I think I needed this. Other people who understand loss, getting my hands dirty, something real." Olivia nodded slowly. "Fair enough. Just so you know, your bank account doesn't impress me. In here, you're just another student learning to cook. Can you handle that?" Noah found himself smiling. "That's exactly what I need." "Good." She handed him another onion. "Then keep chopping." As other students arrived, Noah found himself hyper-aware of Olivia's presence, where she was in the room, who she was helping, the sound of her laugh. When she demonstrated how to make dumplings, he watched her hands, strong and sure, shaping the dough with practiced ease. "The secret," she said, "is not overworking the dough. You want to handle it gently, with care. Like anything worth doing, it requires patience and attention." When Noah made his first dumpling, Olivia came to check his work. She stood close enough that he could feel her warmth, smell that cinnamon vanilla scent again. "Not bad," she said, examining his slightly misshapen dumpling, "but you're being too tentative. Here." She placed her hands over his, guiding his movements. "Feel that? Firm but gentle, confident." Noah's heart was racing, and it had nothing to do with cooking. Her hands were warm, slightly rough from kitchen work, and he found himself wanting to turn his palm up, to lace his fingers through hers. What the hell was happening to him? When she moved away to help Derek, he felt the absence of her warmth like a physical loss. That night, lying in his empty penthouse, Noah couldn't stop thinking about her. The way she moved, the way she spoke, direct and honest. The way she'd looked at him like he was just a man, not a bank account or a business opportunity. The curve of her neck when she'd leaned over to help him. The generous swell of her hips as she'd moved around the kitchen. He was in trouble. Over the next few weeks, Noah found himself completely absorbed in Mondays. He started arriving earlier each week, helping Olivia prep. They'd talk as they worked about food, about loss, about life. "Why cooking?" he asked one evening as they chopped vegetables. "You could have done anything." Olivia smiled. "My grandmother raised me after my parents died. She was a cook in New Orleans, and her kitchen was where I felt safe. Food was how she showed love, how she taught me about our culture, how she helped me heal. When she died 3 years ago, I realized I wanted to do the same for others. Create a space where food is about more than just eating. It's about connection and healing and love. That's beautiful, Noah said, and meant it. It's also barely profitable, Olivia said with a wry laugh. I inherited this building from her, which is the only reason I can keep the business going, but it needs constant repairs I can barely afford. Property taxes, insurance, maintenance costs add up fast. I'm always one major expense away from having to close. My friends think I'm crazy for not commercializing it, franchising, making it a brand. But that would destroy what makes it special. Noah wanted to offer to help, to write a check and solve all her problems. But he sensed that would be exactly the wrong move. Olivia had pride, integrity. She'd built this herself, and she wouldn't want someone swooping in to save her. Sounds like you're doing exactly what you should be doing, he said instead. Not everything worth doing is profitable. She looked at him with surprise and something else. Respect, maybe. That's not what I expected a billionaire to say. I'm full of surprises. I'm starting to see that. The tension between them was building each week. Noah would catch himself staring at her, the curve of her neck, the way she bit her lip when concentrating, the fullness of her figure. He'd dated dozens of women, but none of them had ever consumed his thoughts like this. He found himself thinking about her at work, during meetings, late at night, the way she laughed, the way she tasted food with complete focus, the way she made everyone around her feel valued and seen. James noticed. You've been different lately. Less robot, more human. What's going on? I've been taking a cooking class, Noah admitted. James raised an eyebrow. A cooking class has you smiling at your phone and leaving work at reasonable hours? It's complicated. It's a woman, James said with certainty. And from that look on your face, you've got it bad. Noah didn't deny it. The 6th and final class arrived too quickly. They were making a potluck, each person preparing their loved one's signature dish. Noah made his mother's chicken and dumplings, and as he worked, he felt her presence in a way he hadn't since she died. Not painful, but comforting, like she was there, guiding his hands. When everyone sat down to eat, sharing stories and tears and laughter, Noah realized this group of strangers had become something like family. And at the center of it all was Olivia, who had created this space, this healing. As the evening wound down and people started leaving, Noah found himself lingering, helping Olivia clean up. Thank you, he said as they washed dishes side by side. This class, you gave me something I didn't know I needed. Olivia smiled, but there was sadness in it. I'm glad. You've come a long way from that first night. I don't want this to end, Noah said, and he wasn't just talking about the class. Olivia's hands stilled in the soapy water. Noah, have dinner with me, he said, a real dinner, just the two of us, not as teacher and student, but as two people who want to spend more time together. She turned to face him, and he saw conflict in her eyes. Noah, I don't think that's a good idea. Why not? Because we're from completely different worlds. Because you're a billionaire who dates supermodels, and I'm a plus-size chef who can barely keep her business afloat. Because this, she gestured between them, whatever this is, it can't go anywhere. What if I think it can? Noah stepped closer. What if I haven't been able to stop thinking about you for weeks? What if every time I'm not here, I'm counting down the hours until I can see you again? Olivia's breath caught. Noah. One dinner, Olivia. Let me take you somewhere that matters to me. If at the end of the night you still think this can't work, I'll respect that. But give us a chance. She studied his face for a long moment, and he could see her warring with herself. Finally, she nodded. One dinner. But Noah, I need you to understand something. I'm not going to change who I am. I'm not going to lose weight or dress differently or try to fit into your world. This is me, if that's not enough. It's more than enough, Noah said, his voice rough with emotion. You're more than enough, Olivia. Saturday evening, Noah stood outside Olivia's apartment in Queens, more nervous than he'd been before any business deal. He'd spent an embarrassing amount of time choosing what to wear, finally settling on dark jeans and a casual button-down. When Olivia opened the door, Noah's breath caught. She wore jeans and a deep green wrap top that hugged her curves beautifully, her hair falling in loose curls around her shoulders. She was stunning, not in the polished, artificial way of the women he usually dated, but in a way that was real and warm and utterly captivating. You look incredible, he said. She blushed, ducking her head. Thanks. You clean up pretty well yourself. They took the subway to Brooklyn. Noah had deliberately chosen not to use his car and driver tonight, and Noah found himself hyper-aware of her beside him. The warmth of her arm brushing his, the scent of her perfume, the way she laughed at something on her phone. Where are we going? She asked. You said you wanted somewhere real, somewhere that matters to me, so I'm taking you back to where it all started. He led her through the streets of his childhood, pointing out landmarks. That was my elementary school. That corner store. Mr. Kim still runs it. He used to let my mom pay on credit when money was tight. And this, he stopped in front of a small Italian restaurant with a faded sign reading, Mama Rosa's. This is where I'm taking you. Olivia looked at the modest restaurant, then at Noah with understanding. This was your place. My mom worked 3 jobs, but once a month, on my birthday and hers, she'd save so we could come here. It felt like a palace to me. Mama Rosa knew our situation and would always give us extra bread, an extra meatball. The food here isn't fancy, but it's real. It's made with love. Olivia squeezed his hand, and Noah realized they were holding hands. When had that happened? Thank you for bringing me here. Inside, Mama Rosa recognized Noah immediately and pulled him into a fierce hug. Noah, look at you! Then she turned to Olivia, and her eyes lit up. And who is this beautiful girl? This is Olivia. She's a chef, and she's been teaching me to cook. Mama Rosa beamed. A chef, and she got you in a kitchen? She must be a miracle worker. She hugged Olivia too, then ushered them to the best table by the window. The meal was perfect. They shared pasta carbonara and chicken parmesan, talking easily, laughing often. Noah told stories about his childhood, about his mother's dreams for him, about the promises he'd made to give her a better life. My grandmother made gumbo every Sunday, Olivia shared. The whole building would smell like it, and neighbors would show up around dinner time. She never turned anyone away. She'd say food tastes better when it's shared. That's what you've created with your cooking school, Noah said. You're carrying on her legacy. Olivia's smile was tinged with sadness. I'm trying, but honestly, it's been hard. The building needs expensive repairs. The boiler's dying, the roof leaks, the electrical system is from the 70s. I'm constantly worried about money. Sometimes I wonder if I should just sell it, get a regular chef job somewhere. Don't, Noah said with surprising intensity. What you're doing matters, Olivia. You changed my life. You're changing lives every day. That's worth more than any regular job. She looked at him, something soft and vulnerable in her eyes. You really believe that? I know it. After dinner, Mama Rosa refused payment, waving away Noah's attempts to leave cash. They walked to the Brooklyn Heights promenade. The Manhattan skyline glittered across the East River, and Noah pointed to one of the tallest buildings in the financial district, That's my office, about 40 floors up. I spend most of my life there, making deals, building my company. From here it looks so small. Olivia leaned against the railing, and Noah stood beside her, their shoulders touching. It's not small, Noah. What you've built is impressive, but I'm glad you're remembering there's more to life than work. Noah turned to face her. Being with you, learning to cook, coming back here. It's like I'm remembering who I was before I became obsessed with success. You're helping me find my way back. Olivia looked up at him, and in the glow of the city lights, she was breathtaking. Noah, I need to be honest with you. I'm scared. We're from such different worlds. You date models and socialites. You're not just anything, Noah interrupted, stepping closer. You're brilliant and talented and kind. You've built something meaningful with your life. You see people, really see them, and make them feel valued. You're passionate and real in a way no one in my world is. And yes, you're also beautiful, so incredibly beautiful. Noah, her voice was barely a whisper. I know this is fast. I know it's complicated, but I can't stop thinking about you, Olivia. I don't want to stop thinking about you. He cupped her face gently, giving her every opportunity to pull away. But she didn't. Instead, she leaned into his touch, her eyes fluttering closed. When Noah kissed her, it was soft and sweet and perfect. Olivia's hands came up to rest on his chest, and he pulled her closer, marveling at how perfectly she fit against him, how right this felt. When they finally broke apart, both were breathless. I'm falling for you, Noah whispered. I know it's crazy, but I am. Olivia's smile was radiant. It is crazy, but I'm falling for you too. They stood wrapped in each other's arms, and Noah felt something he hadn't felt in years: complete happiness. The next few weeks were blissful. Noah and Olivia spent every free moment together. He'd show up at her kitchen during prep hours, helping chop vegetables and learning techniques. She taught him to cook properly, knife skills, flavor profiles, the importance of patience. They started taking morning walks together through Central Park before work. It had been Noah's doctor's suggestion during his last checkup. He needed more exercise and less stress, and he'd asked Olivia to join him. I don't want you to think this is about your weight, he'd said carefully. My doctor's been on me about my health, and I thought maybe we could do this together. Make it something we share. Olivia had looked at him suspiciously at first, but then she'd seen the genuine invitation in his eyes. Okay, but if you start talking about diets or calories, I'm out. Deal, Noah had said, and meant it. Those morning walks became one of his favorite parts of the day. Sometimes they'd talk about everything and nothing. Sometimes they'd walk in comfortable silence, just enjoying being together. It wasn't about weight loss or fitness goals. It was about spending time together, being present, building a life. Noah also introduced Olivia to parts of his world. He took her to a charity gala for food insecurity, a cause she cared about deeply. He'd bought her a dress for the occasion, but only after she'd expressed anxiety about not having anything appropriate. It's beautiful, she'd said when he presented the elegant navy dress. But Noah, you can't just buy me things. It's a gift, he'd said, and you're doing me a favor by coming to this boring event. Please? At the gala, Noah watched with pride as Olivia charmed everyone. She didn't try to be someone she wasn't, and people responded to her authenticity. By evening's end, she had several bookings for private classes and one offer to cater a corporate event. But not everything was smooth. Noah's world wasn't kind to women who didn't fit a certain mold, and Olivia faced that reality quickly. 1 month later, the real test came when one of Noah's major investors, Richard Whitmore, insisted on dinner at Per Se, one of Manhattan's most exclusive restaurants. Bring that girlfriend James mentioned, Richard had said. Diane and I would love to meet her. Noah had hesitated, but Olivia had insisted she'd be fine. But from the moment they arrived, Noah could feel the judgment. Richard and his wife Diane looked at Olivia with barely concealed surprise. Diane was rail-thin, with sharp features and the kind of polished appearance that came from personal trainers, private chefs, and regular cosmetic procedures. "So you're a chef?" Diane had said over cocktails, her eyes raking over Olivia's body. "How wonderful! I wish I could eat like a chef, but I have to watch my figure." She laughed, the sound brittle. "Of course, some people are just naturally blessed with fast metabolisms." Olivia had smiled tightly. "I believe in enjoying food and having a healthy relationship with eating." "Oh, absolutely," Diane said, sipping her vodka soda. "Though I'm sure you know, health is so important. My doctor is always warning me about the risks of carrying extra weight. Heart disease, diabetes, joint problems. It's really quite frightening. I could give you his number if you'd like." "He has a wonderful program." Noah had stepped in then. "Diane, Olivia doesn't need a doctor's number." But Diane wasn't done. Throughout dinner, the comments continued, each one delivered with a smile but sharp as a knife. "Oh, you're having the pasta? How brave. I never eat carbs after 6. More wine? Well, I suppose calories don't count when you're in love, do they? You know, my trainer says that even just 30 minutes of cardio a day can make such a difference. I could introduce you if you'd like." Noah watched Olivia's face grow more closed off with each barb, saw the way she pushed food around her plate without eating, saw the humiliation in her eyes. He was about to say something when Richard changed the subject to business, and Noah was forced to engage. But then Diane went too far. "Oh, before I forget," Diane said with false brightness, "I invited someone to join us for dessert. An old friend of yours, Noah. I hope you don't mind." Noah's stomach dropped. "Who?" "Cassandra Winters. You remember her, don't you? You two dated a few years ago. She's in town for business, and when I mentioned we were having dinner with you, she was so excited to catch up." Noah's jaw clenched. This wasn't a coincidence. Diane had orchestrated this. "Diane, that's not appropriate," he began, but it was too late. Cassandra Winters appeared at their table, tall, blonde, model-thin, and exactly the type of woman people expected Noah to be with. She was also brilliant, ambitious, and had never quite accepted that their relationship had ended. "Noah, it's been too long!" Cassandra leaned down and kissed his cheek, her hand lingering on his shoulder. She wore a designer dress that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent, and her perfume was expensive and cloying. "Cassandra," Noah said, his voice carefully neutral, removing her hand from his shoulder. "This is Olivia, my girlfriend. Olivia, this is Cassandra Winters. We dated briefly 2 years ago." Cassandra's eyes swept over Olivia with barely concealed assessment. "It's so nice to meet you. I have to say you're not Noah's usual type at all. How refreshing." She pulled up a chair without being invited, positioning herself between Noah and Olivia. "So, Olivia, what do you do?" Cassandra asked, her tone suggesting she already knew the answer and found it amusing. "I'm a chef. I run a cooking school and catering business in Chelsea." How charming. A small business owner. That must be so fulfilling. The way she said small made it sound like an insult. "I'm a venture capitalist. I just closed a $200 million deal last week. It's exhausting but exhilarating." Diane jumped in. "Cassandra, you look absolutely stunning. Have you lost weight?" "Just 5 pounds, Cassandra said, touching her flat stomach. "My trainer has me on this new program. It's intense, but the results are worth it." She glanced at Olivia. "I could give you his information if you're interested. He's very good at creating customized plans." "I'm not interested," Olivia said quietly, but Noah could hear the hurt beneath her words. Cassandra turned her attention back to Noah, her hand finding his arm again. "Noah, we should have lunch soon. I have a proposition that I think would interest you, a new venture that's right up your alley." She leaned in closer, her voice dropping to something almost intimate. "You know I've always understood your vision better than anyone." "I'm pretty busy these days, Cassandra," Noah said, moving his arm away. "Oh, I'm sure you can make time for an old friend." She glanced at Olivia again. "Besides, I'm sure Olivia understands that business is business." "You do understand that, don't you, Olivia?" Before Olivia could respond, Cassandra continued, her voice taking on a nostalgic tone. "Remember when we used to go to that gym together in Tribeca, Noah, and those weekend trips to the Hamptons? God, we had such good times. Everyone said we were the perfect couple." Diane laughed delightedly. "You two did make such a striking couple. I remember seeing photos of you at the Met Gala. Absolutely stunning. Like something out of a magazine." She turned to Olivia with false sympathy. "It must be intimidating, dear, dating someone like Noah. All those beautiful, successful women from his past. But I'm sure he sees something special in you." That was it. Noah had had enough. He stood up abruptly, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. "That's enough." The table went silent. Noah's voice was cold, controlled, but with an edge of fury. "Diane, you've spent this entire evening making passive-aggressive comments about Olivia's body, offering unsolicited diet and exercise advice, and now you've ambushed us by inviting my ex-girlfriend to dinner without my knowledge or consent. This wasn't a coincidence. This was a deliberate attempt to humiliate Olivia and make her feel unwelcome." He turned to Cassandra. "And you. We broke up 2 years ago. I've been clear that I'm not interested in reconnecting. Showing up here and making comments designed to undermine my relationship is disrespectful to both me and Olivia." He turned to Richard. "Richard, I've valued our business relationship, but if continuing to work with you means subjecting the woman I love to this kind of treatment, then I'm out. You can keep your investment or pull it, your choice. But Olivia and I are leaving." Richard's face had gone red. "Noah, let's not be hasty." "I'm not being hasty. I'm being clear. Olivia is the best thing that's happened to me in years. She's brilliant, talented, and has built something meaningful with her life. She's kind and genuine in a world full of people who think cruelty is acceptable as long as it's delivered with a smile. And she's beautiful, not despite her body, but including every inch of it." He took Olivia's hand. "Anyone who can't treat her with respect doesn't deserve to be in my life, business relationship or not." He threw several $100 bills on the table, more than enough to cover their portion of the meal, and walked out with Olivia, leaving stunned silence behind them. In the car, Olivia was shaking, not with tears but with anger and humiliation. "You shouldn't have done that," she said, her voice tight. "Richard Whitmore is one of your biggest investors. You could lose millions because of me." "I don't care," Noah said. "Well, I do." Olivia's voice rose. "Don't you see, Noah? This is what it's going to be like. Every event, every dinner, every time we're in public in your world, people like Diane are going to make comments about my weight, give me diet advice, suggest trainers and doctors. And women like Cassandra are going to show up and remind everyone that you used to date supermodels. They're going to look at me and wonder what you're doing with the fat girl. They're going to treat me like I'm an embarrassment, like I'm not good enough for you." "You are good enough for me," Noah said fiercely. "You're too good for me." "That's not how they see it," Olivia was crying now. "And the worst part is, sometimes I wonder if they're right. Maybe I should lose weight. Maybe I should try harder to fit into your world. Maybe I should—" "Stop," Noah said, pulling the car over. He turned to face her, taking both her hands. "Olivia, listen to me. I love you exactly as you are. I don't want you to change. I don't want you to lose weight or dress differently or try to fit into a world that doesn't deserve you." Olivia stared at him, tears streaming down her face. You love me?" Noah realized what he'd said, and he didn't take it back. "Yes, I love you. I'm completely hopelessly in love with you, Olivia Foster. And if people in my world can't accept you, then I don't want to be in that world anymore." "You can't mean that," Olivia whispered. "I've never meant anything more in my life." Noah cupped her face, wiping away her tears. "You asked me once what happiness looks like. It looks like you, Olivia. It looks like cooking together in your kitchen. It looks like our morning walks in the park. It looks like building a life that matters, not just a bank account. I don't need Richard Whitmore or Diane or Cassandra or any of those people, but I need you." Olivia searched his face. "What if I can't do this? What if it's too hard?" "Then we'll figure something else out," Noah said. "But please don't give up on us because of people like Diane. Please don't let them make you feel like you're not enough, because you are everything, Olivia. You're everything." She kissed him then, desperate and fierce, and Noah held her like she was the most precious thing in the world, because she was. The next morning, Noah woke up with absolute clarity. He'd spent the night thinking, and he knew what he needed to do. He called James. "I need you to set up a meeting with the board. I'm making some changes." Over the next 2 months, Noah restructured his involvement with the company. The board meeting had been intense, 3 hours of presentations, negotiations, and careful planning. But in the end, they'd agreed to his proposal. James would take over as CEO while Noah transitioned to executive chairman, a role that required far less day-to-day involvement. The transition would take 6 months to complete, giving James time to step fully into the role. He also made it clear to his investors and business associates that Olivia was a permanent part of his life, and anyone who couldn't respect her wouldn't be working with him. Richard Whitmore had called to apologize, claiming Diane had been out of line and that he hadn't known about her plan to invite Cassandra. Noah had accepted the apology, but made his boundaries crystal clear. "Business is business, Richard. But my personal life is off limits. If we're going to continue working together, that needs to be understood, and Diane is never to speak to or about Olivia again." Richard had agreed, though Noah suspected it was more about protecting his investment than genuine remorse. As for Cassandra, she'd sent several texts and emails trying to set up a lunch meeting. Noah had finally responded with a clear message. "I'm in a committed relationship and not interested in reconnecting. Please respect that and do not contact me again." He also started making changes in his own life. The morning walks with Olivia became sacred time. No phones, no work talk, just being together. Sometimes they'd discuss their days, their dreams, their plans. Sometimes they'd walk in comfortable silence, hands linked, completely present with each other. "You know what I love about this?" Olivia said one morning as they walked past the Bethesda fountain. "It's not about fitness goals or weight loss. It's just us being together, moving our bodies because it feels good." "That's exactly what it should be," Noah said, squeezing her hand. They'd been dating for 4 months when Olivia mentioned she needed to visit her aunt in New Jersey for 3 weeks. Her aunt was recovering from knee surgery and needed help. 3 weeks, Noah had said. "That's a long time." "I know," Olivia had sighed. "I'll have to cancel classes, which means lost income. But she's the only family I have left. She needs me." "Of course she does. Family comes first." After she left, Noah put a plan into motion. He'd been quietly working with contractors, getting assessments and quotes for the building repairs Olivia desperately needed but couldn't afford. With her gone for 3 weeks, he had the time to get the work done. He had contractors come in to replace the dying boiler, repair the leaking roof, and update the electrical system to code. It was extensive work, but with enough money and the right team working around the clock, it could be done in 3 weeks. When Olivia returned and found the work completed, she'd been shocked and angry. "Noah, what did you do?" "The building needed repairs," he said calmly, so I had them done while you were gone. Without asking me? Olivia's eyes flashed with anger and something else, fear, maybe. This is my business, Noah. My grandmother's building. You can't just swoop in and... I'm not swooping in, Noah interrupted gently. Olivia, the boiler was going to die, probably this winter. The roof was leaking into the walls, causing mold that could have made you and your students sick. The electrical system was a fire hazard. This wasn't about taking over your business or making you feel like you can't handle things. This was about making sure you're safe. Olivia's anger deflated slightly, but her jaw was still tight. You should have asked me first. You should have talked to me about it. You're absolutely right, Noah admitted. I should have. I'm sorry. I got so focused on solving the problem that I didn't think about how it would make you feel. That was wrong. Olivia studied him for a long moment. I need you to understand something, Noah. I know you're used to fixing things, to making problems disappear with money, but I'm not a problem to be fixed. This business, this building, it's mine. It's all I have of my grandmother. When you make decisions about it without me, it feels like you're taking that away. Noah felt the weight of her words. I understand, and I'm truly sorry. It won't happen again. From now on, we discuss things. We make decisions together. This is a partnership, not a rescue mission. Partnership, Olivia repeated, and some of the tension left her shoulders. I like the sound of that. But Noah, I need to pay you back for the repairs. No, Noah said firmly. That's not happening. Noah! Olivia, I have more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes. You have a business that changes people's lives but operates on razor-thin margins. Let me do this, not because I think you can't handle it, but because I love you and I want to support your dream. Please. She looked at him for a long moment, then sighed. Fine. But next time, and I mean this, Noah, we discuss it first. Equal partners. Equal partners. Noah agreed, pulling her into his arms. I promise. 5 months into their relationship, Noah knew what he wanted to do. He'd been planning it carefully, wanting to get it right. He enlisted the help of Olivia's best friend Maria, another chef who owned a restaurant in the West Village. Together, they planned a surprise. On a Saturday evening, Noah told Olivia he was taking her somewhere special. She'd learned to trust his surprises, so she didn't ask questions, just dressed nicely and let him lead her to his car. They drove to Chelsea, and when they pulled up in front of Olivia's kitchen, she looked confused. Are we picking something up? Close your eyes, Noah said. She complied, and Noah helped her out, guiding her to the door. When he told her she could look, Olivia gasped. The space had been transformed. The walls now displayed framed photographs, Olivia with her grandmother, Olivia teaching classes, candid shots of students laughing and cooking together. The lighting had been updated, warm and inviting, and in the center of the room, a table was set for 2, candles flickering with dishes from Mama Rosa's laid out. But that wasn't all. On the far wall, there was a new addition, a beautiful hand-painted mural of a New Orleans kitchen, with a woman who looked remarkably like Olivia's grandmother standing at the stove, smiling. Noah, Olivia whispered, her hand covering her mouth. What is this? Noah took both her hands. This is me showing you how much you mean to me. This is me saying that I want to be part of your world, support your dreams, build a life with you. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. Olivia's breath caught. Noah. Noah dropped to one knee, opening the box to reveal a sapphire ring surrounded by small diamonds. Olivia Foster, you taught me how to cook, but more importantly, you taught me how to live. You showed me that success isn't measured in dollars, but in the impact we have on people's lives. You taught me that love is the most important ingredient in anything we create. You challenged me to be better, to be real, to be present. You loved me not for what I have, but for who I am." His voice grew stronger, more certain. "I know we come from different worlds. I know it won't always be easy. But I also know that I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I want to cook with you, walk with you, build a life with you. I want to support your dreams and have you by my side for mine. I want to defend you against anyone who tries to make you feel less than the extraordinary woman you are. Olivia, will you marry me?" Tears streamed down Olivia's face. "Noah, yes, of course I'll marry you." Noah slipped the ring on her finger and stood, pulling her into a kiss that felt like a promise, like the beginning of forever. When they broke apart, both were crying and laughing. "I can't believe you did all this," Olivia said, looking around at the photographs and the mural. "That painting, she looks just like my grandmother." "I worked with an artist using photos you'd shown me," Noah said. "I wanted her to be here for this moment." Olivia hugged him tightly, crying into his shoulder. "I love you so much." "I love you too," Noah said. "Always." "Wait," Noah said, pulling back. "There's one more thing. Come outside." They walked out to find a group waiting. Margaret, Derek, Tom and Lisa, Sarah and Jennifer from the grief cooking class, along with Maria, James, Noah's mother's closest friends, and Olivia's aunt and cousins, her only remaining family. "I wanted to share this moment with the people who brought us together," Noah explained. "The people who taught me that food is about so much more than sustenance, and that love is what makes a house a home." Olivia's aunt stepped forward, a woman in her 60s with kind eyes and Olivia's same warm smile. She pulled Noah aside while everyone else celebrated. "You make my niece happy," she said quietly. "I can see it in her eyes, hear it in her voice when she talks about you. That's all that matters to me." She paused, her expression growing serious. "But I also see the world you come from, Noah. I've heard about the dinner with that awful woman and your ex-girlfriend. If you're going to be with my niece, I need to know you're going to protect her from that you're going to stand by her when things get hard." Noah met her eyes steadily. "Mom, I love Olivia more than anything, and I promise you, I will spend the rest of my life making sure she knows how loved and valued she is. Anyone who tries to make her feel less than extraordinary will have to go through me first." Olivia's aunt studied him for a long moment, then nodded and extended her hand. "Then welcome to the family, Noah." The celebration that followed was perfect. Good food, good people, genuine joy. They ate together in Olivia's kitchen, sharing stories and laughter and love. As Noah watched Olivia move through the crowd, glowing with happiness, showing off her ring, hugging her family and friends, he felt complete in a way he never had before. This was what success actually looked like. Not a corner office or luxury penthouse, but this: community, connection, love, purpose. 13 months after their first date, Noah and Olivia married in a ceremony that perfectly blended their worlds. It was held at Olivia's kitchen, intimate and warm, with only their closest friends and family. Olivia wore a beautiful champagne-colored dress that hugged her curves and made her look like a goddess. Noah wore a navy suit but ditched the tie halfway through the ceremony, making everyone laugh. The food was incredible, prepared by Olivia, Maria, and a team of chef friends. Every dish had a story, a memory of someone who mattered to them. They served Noah's mother's chicken and dumplings, Olivia's grandmother's gumbo, Mama Rosa's pasta carbonara, and apple pie, made using the recipe from that first grief cooking class. During his vows, Noah looked into Olivia's eyes and spoke from his heart. "Olivia, you saved me from a life that was empty despite being full of success. You showed me what it means to live with purpose, to lead with love, to measure wealth in relationships instead of bank accounts. You taught me to be present, to be real, to be vulnerable. You loved me when I was broken and helped me heal. I promise to support your dreams, to stand by your side through every challenge, to defend you against anyone who tries to make you feel less than the extraordinary woman you are, and to love you more with each passing day. You are my home, Olivia, and I'm so grateful I get to spend my life with you." Olivia's vows were equally moving. "Noah, when we met, I thought I knew exactly what kind of man you were, but you proved me wrong in the best possible way. You showed me that people can change, that vulnerability is strength, and that true partnership means lifting each other up while staying true to yourselves. You believed in my dream when I was ready to give up. You loved me exactly as I am, never asking me to change or be smaller or fit into some mold. You defended me when others tried to tear me down. You showed me what real love looks like. I promise to keep challenging you, to support your growth, to create a home filled with love and good food, and to remind you every day that you are so much more than your achievements. I love you, Noah Hale, and I can't wait to see what we build together." As they sealed their vows with a kiss, surrounded by everyone they loved, both knew they'd found something rare and precious. 4 years after their wedding, Olivia's kitchen had expanded into a community center offering cooking classes, job training programs, after-school activities for kids, and community meals for anyone who needed them. The building next door had come up for sale, and Noah and Olivia had bought it together, expanding the space to accommodate the growing programs. Noah had fully transitioned to his chairman role, spending most of his time on philanthropic work and supporting Olivia's vision. They split time between his penthouse, now a real home filled with warmth and life, and a brownstone they'd bought in Brooklyn, near where Noah grew up. They cooked together almost every night, trying new recipes and perfecting old ones, always making extra to share. Their Sunday dinners became legendary, open invitations for anyone who wanted good food and company. They continued their morning walks, now often joined by their daughter Rose, who was 3 years old and already showing signs of inheriting her mother's love of food and her father's stubborn determination. "Mama, I help cook?" Rose asked one Sunday morning, tugging on Olivia's apron. "Of course, baby," Olivia said, lifting her onto a stool. "We're making Grandma Rose's chicken and dumplings today. Want to help me mix the dough?" Noah watched from across the kitchen, his heart full. This was everything he'd never known he wanted. The sound of his daughter's laughter, the smell of food cooking, the warmth of a home filled with love. Olivia caught his eye and smiled. And in that smile was everything they'd built together. The challenges they'd overcome, the love they'd fought for, the life they'd created. "What are you thinking about?" she asked. Noah crossed the kitchen and wrapped his arms around both of them. "I'm thinking about how I walked into a cooking class 5 years ago, broken and empty, and found everything I'd been searching for." "Just everything?" Olivia teased. "That's a lot of pressure on one cooking class." "Not the class," Noah said, kissing her temple. "You. I found you and you gave me everything that matters. Love, purpose, a family, a life worth living." Rose squirmed between them. "Daddy, you're squishing me." They laughed and separated, and Noah helped Rose mix the dumpling dough while Olivia prepared the chicken. They worked together in comfortable rhythm, the kind that comes from years of practice and deep love. Later, as they sat around the table with friends and family, sharing the meal they'd made together, Noah looked around at the faces he loved and felt overwhelming gratitude. He'd started with nothing, built an empire, and discovered it meant nothing without love. He'd lost his mother and found his way through grief to healing. He'd met a woman who challenged him, loved him, and showed him what really mattered. And he'd learned that the greatest success wasn't measured in dollars or deals or magazine covers. It was measured in moments like this. A table full of people you love, food made with care, laughter echoing off the walls, and the knowledge that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Sometimes the greatest love stories begin in a kitchen, with flour on your hands and hope in your heart, not knowing you're about to find everything you've been searching for. And sometimes, the most beautiful love stories are the ones where two people from different worlds choose each other, defend each other, and build a life together that's better than anything they could have imagined alone. Noah had learned to cook, but more importantly, he'd learned to live, and it had all started with walking through a door, taking a chance, and opening his heart to the possibility of love. What did you think of Noah and Olivia's journey? Have you ever had to defend someone you love against judgment? Do you believe that real love means accepting someone exactly as they are? Share your thoughts in the comments. We absolutely love hearing from you. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss another romance story. And please show this video some love with a like. It truly helps us continue bringing you these beautiful tales. Thank you for being part of the secret billionaire romance family. Until next time, remember that love can find you anywhere, and the right person will love you not despite who you are, but because of it. Keep your heart open, stay true to yourself, and never stop believing in happily ever after.